What if the greatest danger you face isn't the person openly working against you, but the one sitting beside you with a smile? We've been conditioned to monitor our enemies, to anticipate attacks from visible opposition. But Machiavelli recognized a deeper truth. The real threat emerges from those wearing the costume of friendship. Consider the colleague who celebrates your achievements publicly, while quietly planting seeds of doubt the moment you're out of earshot. The friend who applauds your victories until your success begins casting shadows on their own position. Machiavelli observed this pattern 5 centuries ago, when he wrote that he who elevates another to power engineers his own downfall. This wasn't cynicism. This was observation of how humans actually operate. Loyalty in the real world functions as a performance, a tactical display, a tool deployed until circumstances shift. What you're about to learn is the ruthless intelligence of Machiavellian thinking, applied to detecting, neutralizing, and dominating the hidden threats, disguised as allies, that could dismantle everything you've built if you remain naive. This isn't guidance for those seeking comfortable illusions. This is strategic knowledge for those committed to survival and dominance. We all want to believe in genuine loyalty, that people will stand beside us because of shared history, authentic connection, or moral alignment. But Machiavelli rejected this romantic notion entirely. In The Prince, he stated it without softening. Men are ungrateful, changeable, deceivers who avoid danger and hunger for profit. To Machiavelli, loyalty wasn't a virtue. It was a convenience, easily abandoned when it stopped serving personal advantage. He understood that most people align themselves with power, not because they believe in you, but because they extract benefit from your position. And the moment that benefit evaporates, their loyalty disappears with it. Let's examine one of Machiavelli's preferred examples, Cesare Borgia. At the peak of his authority, Borgia operated surrounded by supposed allies. Noblemen, military commanders, even religious figures. But Machiavelli observed how Borgia never truly trusted any of them. He deployed them strategically, granted them authority when useful, and when they transformed into threats, he eliminated them without hesitation. Consider Ramiro de Orco, a brutal commander Borgia appointed to pacify a rebellious region. Once the mission succeeded and public hatred for Ramiro intensified, Borgia had him executed publicly. His severed head was displayed in the town square. Machiavelli admired this, not the violence, but the clarity. Borgia understood that loyalty is temporary. Power is permanent. A wise prince must depend on what he controls, not what others promise. Fast forward to contemporary reality. Consider your workplace, your career trajectory. How many people congratulated your promotion while privately experiencing threat? How many teammates offer assistance only when it costs them nothing? In high-stakes environments, loyalty frequently persists only as long as you remain beneath them on the ladder. Once you're no longer a stepping stone, you become a threat. Or worse, an obstacle. This is why Machiavellian strategy demands you stop expecting loyalty and start measuring self-interest. The question isn't, who likes me? The question is, who needs me? And critically, who gains if I collapse? Here's where psychology deepens the understanding. People will betray you while genuinely believing they remain loyal. How? Because when ambition collides with attachment, the mind reconstructs reality. I didn't betray her. I simply did what circumstances required. He left me no alternative. I had to protect my position. That's the internal rationalization of a fake friend. And you won't hear these justifications until after the damage is complete. The insight Machiavelli offers is this: loyalty must be earned repeatedly, not assumed permanently. So what's the strategic response? Stop assuming loyalty is static. Start monitoring for shifts in interest, power dynamics, and status. When someone's incentives change, their loyalty will follow. Reward reliability, not affection. Those who consistently show up, deliver results, and absorb hits for you possess value. But always verify. Because as Machiavelli reminds us, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. There's a traditional saying that it's better to know your devil than encounter an unknown one. But Machiavelli would sharpen that further. It's better to face an enemy you can see than a friend who conceals a weapon. Because enemies are transparent. They challenge you openly. You prepare, defend, counterattack. But fake friends operate differently. They shake your hand with one hand and poison you with the other. Machiavelli, ever the realist, warned rulers not to fear open hostility as intensely as they should fear false loyalty. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. Therefore, one must be a fox to recognize traps. Fake friends are traps. They embed themselves inside your circle of trust. They study your vulnerabilities, monitor your ambitions, gain access to your strategies. Then when the moment aligns, they betray you in a manner that's devastating, precisely because you never anticipated it. Consider one of history's most legendary betrayals. Julius Caesar didn't die in battle. He didn't fall to foreign invasion. He was murdered by his own Senate, led by Brutus, someone he trusted like family. Et tu, Brute, even you, Brutus. That wasn't merely a cry of physical pain. It was a scream of psychological shock, the moment Caesar realized the mask of friendship had been deception all along. Brutus maintained the appearance of alliance to stay proximate. He smiled in Caesar's shadow. And when power dynamics shifted, he joined the knives. This is the danger of fake friends. They weaponize your trust. In modern workplaces, this betrayal doesn't arrive with daggers. It arrives with whispers. Your friend leaks your concepts to others. They inform leadership you're struggling just to plant doubt. They align with you during your ascent, but quietly withdraw when you encounter difficulty. These are today's versions of Brutus. They don't wear togas. They wear business attire, professional smiles, and the phrase, "Let me know if I can help." So how do you address them? Don't respond emotionally. Respond analytically. Machiavelli never acted on feelings, only observable facts and patterns. Watch for inconsistencies between what they say and what they do. Test loyalty in controlled ways. Provide them limited information and observe if it leaks. Request support when there's no reward attached, and study their reaction. Maintain strategic options. Never allow one person to become the sole gatekeeper to your reputation, strategy, or success. Because remember, an open enemy wounds the body. A fake friend wounds the mind. And a Machiavellian understands one cut you can treat. The other can destroy your position entirely. Before betrayal ever materializes, the indicators exist. But most people ignore them. Why? Because they prefer the illusion. They confuse charm with character, attention with alliance. Machiavelli didn't make that error. He understood that every fake friend reveals themselves if you're observant enough. First indicator, excessive flattery. Be cautious of the colleague who praises everything you do, especially publicly. Men are so simple and so inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims. Machiavelli recognized that people who constantly flatter are usually concealing something. Their objective isn't elevating you, it's lowering your defenses. In modern workplaces, this sounds like no one could have handled that better. You're the most intelligent person here. We're fortunate to have you. If it feels excessively sweet to be sincere, it probably isn't. Second indicator, vague support and quiet absence. A fake friend appears for the celebration, but vanishes during crisis. They show up when you're winning, but fade when you're under attack or struggling. Ask yourself who speaks up when I'm being criticized, who disappears when I need backing. A Machiavellian doesn't confuse presence with partnership. They observe who only supports you when it's convenient. Third indicator, passive sabotage. The duplicitous colleague rarely attacks directly. They operate through plausible deniability, the art of betrayal without fingerprints. Examples. I think she's excellent, but some people are questioning whether she's ready for that role. He's genuinely talented, though he's been under considerable stress recently. This is how they inject doubt while pretending to defend you. Machiavelli would identify this immediately. These are individuals who wish to undermine your position while maintaining their image of loyalty. Fourth indicator, shifting energy when you succeed. Monitor how they react to your achievements. Do they celebrate genuinely or with forced enthusiasm? Do they echo your excitement or quickly redirect the topic? Do they share your victories or find subtle methods to outshine you? Jealousy is the seed of betrayal. And a true Machiavellian knows that envy among supposed friends is more dangerous than hatred among enemies. The Machiavellian method employs psychological triggers to identify hidden enemies. Watch how they behave when you're no longer useful to them. Notice their behavior when you gain influence, attention, or advantage. Fake friends become uncomfortable when you no longer need them. Observe what they do under pressure. Stress reveals the mask. Ambition exposes the authentic face. In corporate environments, middle managers often play both sides. To senior leadership, they praise you. To peers, they whisper doubts. They don't want you terminated, just neutralized. They fear you'll rise beyond them. So they operate in shadows, using words as weapons. Machiavelli would never confront them directly. He'd observe, document, and prepare his counter-strategy before they ever knew they were exposed. The lesson is this. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to examine the men around him. In your life, the same principle applies. Your power connects directly to the quality and loyalty of those in your inner circle. Once you've identified potential traitors in your network, you don't need to confront them openly. Machiavelli rarely recommended direct conflict, unless absolutely necessary. Instead, he taught rulers to employ strategic distance, control through detachment. A prince must be wise enough to know how to extract profit from the faithless. In other words, you don't have to eliminate them. You just have to keep them close enough to monitor, but far enough to prevent damage. Here's the hidden power of distance. When you pull back from someone who thrives on access, they become unstable. Fake friends rely on proximity to gather intelligence, maintain relevance, or manipulate situations. When you reduce access, you force them into uncertainty. You limit their influence. You regain control of your own narrative and plans. Distance becomes both protection and leverage. Machiavelli admired Louis I of France for precisely this tactic. Louis surrounded himself with ambitious nobles, but never permitted any single man to become too close. He divided authority, maintained informants in every faction, and rotated influence like a chess master. As a result, no ally became powerful enough to betray him effectively. Distance wasn't coldness, it was strategic survival. In today's business world, this manifests through information control and emotional boundaries. Suppose you suspect a colleague is undermining you. Do you accuse them? No. That creates noise, conflict, and makes you appear insecure. Instead, stop sharing sensitive information. They can't weaponize what they don't know. Redirect conversations. Stay polite but vague. Exclude them from your core decision-making. They lose influence and don't even recognize it until it's too late. You don't unfriend them, you unplug them quietly. Machiavelli would argue that no one, not even your closest friend, should possess complete access to your thoughts, intentions, or plans. He understood the fundamental truth. The more people know your mind, the easier you are to manipulate. So distance isn't merely about removing threats. It's about preserving mystery, leverage, and control. Strategic distance allows you to observe without being entangled, maintain respect while eliminating risk, keep power centralized where it belongs, with you. Because in the Machiavellian framework, friendship may fluctuate, but dominance must remain steady. Machiavelli did not believe in waiting to be attacked. He believed in striking first, not from paranoia, but from calculated necessity. Injuries must be inflicted all at once, so that their taste will be less bitter. This isn't about vengeance. It's about removing threats before they metastasize. A fake friend once exposed doesn't just pose a personal risk. They can poison your reputation, steal your opportunities, and reshape perception around you before you ever get a chance to respond. So what does it mean to strike first, the Machiavellian way? Prevention is power. Once you detect a pattern of deception, you act swiftly, silently, and surgically. This could mean cutting off their access to critical information, excluding them from strategic meetings, replacing them in collaborative projects, reframing your public alliance with them. And if the situation escalates, expose them indirectly. Leak subtle truths that unveil their duplicity without ever appearing petty. The objective is not destruction. The objective is containment and dominance. Let's return to Cesare Borgia, a master of preemptive strategy. When he conquered territories, he appointed commanders to secure the region. But once their usefulness declined, and he suspected growing ambition, he eliminated them before they could turn. His most infamous move was eliminating Ramiro de Orco. Why? Because Machiavelli observed that violence, used to gain power, must be followed by discipline to consolidate it. Cesare understood that delay gives your enemies time to organize. Speed crushes their momentum. Imagine you discover your ally at work has been leaking your plans. They haven't sabotaged you openly, but the signs are clear. A Machiavellian move would not involve confrontation. Instead, you pivot your strategy without warning. Feed them outdated or decoy information, and monitor what leaks. Quietly align yourself with more influential players. Then when they realize they've been isolated, it's already too late. They're outmaneuvered. You've already moved 3 steps ahead. Most people wait for definitive proof before acting. But Machiavelli warns that a wise man does at once what the fool does at last. Fake friends test your limits. If you allow small betrayals to slide, they'll escalate. The preemptive move is not impulsive, but planned. You don't react emotionally. You respond tactically with precision. Don't wait to be betrayed to protect yourself. By then, it's too late. Strike early, strike intelligently, and do it in a manner that preserves your reputation while undermining theirs. In Machiavelli's world, it's not about appearing virtuous. It's about maintaining power. If you want to survive betrayal, you must stop building alliances based on emotion. Machiavelli didn't believe in sentimental loyalty, and neither should you, not if power and stability matter more than comfort. He was explicit about this. A prince must have no other object, nor any other thought but the management of power, its institutions, and its discipline. Substitute power management for war, and the lesson is clear. Your network should be strategic, not emotional. In Machiavellian terms, loyalty is not about affection. It's about mutual interest. The people you trust most should benefit from your success, rely on your influence, have something to lose if they betray you. If they're emotionally loyal but have nothing to lose by harming you, that is a liability. If they're emotionally neutral but deeply invested in your success, that is an asset. Machiavelli redefines friendship as an alliance of purpose. Ask yourself of each person close to you, do they bring me leverage? Do they offer access, credibility, skills, or intelligence? Are they committed to outcomes, not just emotional validation? If the answer is no, then you're keeping an emotional anchor in your vessel, and when the waters get rough, they'll pull you under. Take Cardinal Richelieu, the infamous power behind the French throne. He built a network of advisors, informants, and envoys not based on friendship, but function. Each person had a clear role. Each alliance was transactional. And if someone failed to serve the state or threatened his dominance, they were replaced without ceremony. Cold? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. That's how Richelieu maintained power behind the scenes for over 2 decades in a court full of vipers. This translates to choosing partners who balance your skill set, not just ones you enjoy spending time with. Aligning with mentors who elevate your credibility. Hiring not for cultural fit, but for calculated contribution. Machiavelli would never hire a friend unless that friend brought value to the battlefield. Let's be clear, this doesn't mean becoming heartless. It means being strategic about where your heart resides. Have genuine friends outside your realm of power. But inside the arena, choose those whose interests align with yours, whose survival depends on your rise. That's how you build a circle that protects you, instead of one that disappoints you. A Machiavellian doesn't ask, do they like me? He asks, do they need me? And do I need them for something that matters? Affection fades. Leverage endures. In Machiavelli's world, power doesn't come from strength alone. It comes from secrecy. He knew that the person who controls information flow controls perception, behavior, and outcomes. It is not essential that a prince should possess all virtuous qualities, but it is most essential that he should appear to possess them. Translation: people don't need to know the truth. They need to see what benefits you. A fake friend or double-dealing colleague is powerless without access. They need your plans, weaknesses, internal dilemmas, hopes, and fears. Without that information, they can't predict your next move, undermine your decisions, or leverage your doubts against you. This is why Machiavellians never reveal their complete intentions. They speak in partial truths. They display calculated emotions. They protect their strategic opacity like a crown. Napoleon Bonaparte, arguably one of the greatest military minds in history, was also a master of misinformation. Before major battles, he often leaked false strategies to manipulate how enemies would prepare. One famous example, before the Battle of Austerlitz, Napoleon feigned weakness to draw the enemy into a trap. The result was a decisive victory, not because of superior force, but because of intelligent deception. That's pure Machiavelli. In your life, this means don't overshare your aspirations with colleagues. They may not be supporting them. Don't explain your every move. People can only block the plans they understand. Use selective disclosure. Give different people different pieces of the puzzle. That way, no one ever holds the complete picture except you. You become unpredictable. And in a power game, unpredictability is both shield and sword. Here's a Machiavellian move almost no one employs. When others expect an answer, stay silent. When they ask for details, give only direction. When they seek clarity, provide curiosity. People hate uncertainty, and in their discomfort, they reveal far more than they should. Machiavelli used this dynamic constantly. A ruler who speaks too much invites rebellion. A leader who reveals too little commands fear and fascination. Protect your strategy the way a king protects his throne. Say less, reveal little, observe everything. Because power isn't always taken. Sometimes it's leaked. Betrayal stings. But for the Machiavellian, it's not the end. It's an opportunity. Because once someone shows you who they truly are, you no longer have to guess. You're now in control. Machiavelli didn't waste time lamenting broken trust. He focused on how to transform pain into power. A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men, and to imitate those who have been supreme. And great men don't crumble under betrayal. They capitalize on it. When someone betrays you, don't just react. Respond strategically. Stay calm. Say less. Then quietly reshape the narrative. Your goal isn't to prove you were right. Your goal is to reframe the betrayal in a way that strengthens your authority. Suppose a teammate undercuts you and takes credit for your work. Don't retaliate emotionally. Instead, document everything. Leak the facts subtly to the right people. Let them discover the truth independently and shift the tide of perception. You remain composed. They look exposed. And you emerge appearing calculated, not chaotic. In 1985, Steve Jobs was betrayed by his own board and removed from Apple, the company he founded. Many would have disappeared. Jobs did the opposite. He started Next. He built Pixar. And when Apple stumbled, they brought him back. But he didn't return as an employee. He returned as the savior. He took the betrayal, built leverage with his success elsewhere, and forced Apple to need him again. That's not revenge. That's strategic dominance. When betrayal occurs, emotions run high, and people talk too much. That's your opportunity to extract motivations, alliances, weak points in their network. Think like a strategist. Who benefited from this betrayal? Who stood to gain? Who suddenly rose as you fell? These questions transform betrayal into a map of who's genuinely loyal and who's pretending. Machiavelli didn't advocate forgiveness, but neither did he suggest blind punishment. If you inflict injuries, inflict them all at once. If you bestow benefits, bestow them gradually. Punish with purpose. Make an example of one to warn the others. Cut ties not in fury, but in full view of others to establish what betrayal costs. But never overreact. Emotional outbursts give your enemies ammunition. Strategic retaliation makes everyone think twice before crossing you. Betrayal isn't just an attack. It's a mirror. It shows you who's real. It shows you where you are vulnerable. And it hands you a weapon if you know how to wield it. Because the Machiavellian doesn't fear betrayal. He turns it into leverage. You've seen the indicators. You've studied the tactics. You know now that not everyone beside you is with you. Machiavelli's timeless warning echoes through every betrayal, every false smile, every friendly hand that slowly tightens around your throat. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. What does this mean in today's world? It means people will support you until they no longer benefit. They will applaud your success until it eclipses theirs. They will swear loyalty until their ambition says otherwise. And if you're not prepared, you'll be blindsided. But if you've observed closely, if you've understood the lesson, you now possess what most people never will. Clarity. The clarity to trust only what's proven, not what's promised. Measure loyalty by incentives, not by words. Stay calm in betrayal, and transform it to your advantage. Build alliances on utility, not emotion. And above all, never reveal your complete game. Machiavelli's greatest gift wasn't cruelty. It was understanding. Understanding that survival and dominance require one thing above all: discernment. Not everyone deserves access. Not every friend is real. Not every betrayal is defeat. In the end, those who endure are not the most loved, but the most prepared. Outlast the pretenders, rule in silence, strike with precision. If this video transformed how you see the people around you, if it forced you to think like a strategist instead of a sentimentalist, then it's time to take the next step. Subscribe to this channel where we study the brutal truths of power, psychology, and survival. Comment below. What's the boldest insight you'll apply starting today? Is it cutting someone off? Is it protecting your plans? Is it building your circle differently? Let's create a community of strategic thinkers, not victims. And remember, in a world full of masks, the Machiavellian doesn't trust the face. He watches the hands and controls the game.